Hi students, I am Subbaya, Computer Science Department from Henry Metric Higher Secondary School, Satangulam. Now I am going to present you 12th Computer Science Lesson 1 Functions. Before going for function, first I explain what is meant by subroutines. Subroutines are the basic building blocks of computer program. That is, it is the main block of computer programs, and it is a small section of code within a large program, and it is used to perform a particular task, that is a repeated task. In programming languages, subroutines are called as functions. Next, functions. Function is a unit of code within a greater programming. Next, function which is defined often, always the particular function is called by the user, and this function uses variables expressions as input and produces a concrete output. Concrete output means we know what output we will get. Next, function specifications. Here we see one example. A becomes 24. Here the value 24 is bound with A. That is, definitions bind values to the names. Here it is the definition. So definitions are the distinct syntactic blocks. That means definitions are unique and it has own way of syntax. Next, what is meant by parameter and what is arguments? So parameters are the variables in the function. Arguments are the values which is assigned to the variables. Okay, so parameters are the variable and arguments are the values of variable. There are two type of parameters. First one is parameter without type. That means here its type it's not mentioned. That is whether it may be a integer or float, anything else. Next one, parameter with type. So in this method, each parameter is attached with data types. Next, function definitions. So the elaborate explanation of a function definitions. So how the function will be? Every function start with the keyword let. So let is the keyword that every function begins. And next, rec. So rec, it is also a keyword. Suppose if our function is recursive function, the rec keyword is used. Otherwise, it is ignored. Next, fn. Fn is the name of the function. And from a1 to an are called as parameters. And finally, the value k is the output of the functions.
Let's see parameter without type. Here I am given one power function with two arguments a and b. Here I did not mention the data type for a and b, whether the values may be integer or float. Okay, so in the final stage of the program we can know the type of a and b, whether it is integer or float. We can know in the final step. Okay, so this is the program, this is the function, power function to find out a to the power of b, a to the power of b. So it written a to the power of b. This function requires the b value should be 0 or greater than 0, then only we can find the power. Okay, this is the initial condition here. So we start the function here. Every function start with let keyword, and next rec is also a keyword because it is a recursive function. Recursive function means we can call the power function again and again. So it is a recursive function. So rec keyword is used here. And next, the name of the function power, and two arguments are used, that is a and b. Okay, first we check if the b value is 0 means a to the power of 0 equal to 1. So if suppose the b value 0 means the function return 1 as the output. Suppose the b value not equal to 0 means we do the expression, that is a star power of a b minus 1. Here we can assume a value is 2 and b value is 3 means we need to find 2 to the power of 3. So here the b value is not equal to 0. Then we do the expressions a star power of a b minus 1. So a value is 2 star and power I write the power. So base 2 and b minus 1. Here 3 minus 1 is 2. Okay. So here we again call the power function with the arguments a and b minus 1. So the power function is again called. So the same function is called and the else part again executed here. So we write the 2 same like that, and this is 2 to the power of 2. Here the power function is applied again. So again we can write a star power a b minus 1. Here the a value is 2 star and again we write the power 2 power 2 minus 1 1. So again and again till the b value became 0 we continue this process. So it is the recursive function. Now we discuss about the data type of a and b. Here we see the if expression return 1 in the then branch. So by the typing rule the entire if expression became integer type. So suppose the if expression is integer type means the function's return type also, the output of the function also is integer type. So we conclude that b is compared with 0 with the equality operator, then b is a integer type. Here a is multiplied with some expressions with the multiplication operator, so a must be an integer. Okay, so finally we can know a and b are the integer type here. Okay, next we come to the second type, parameter with type. Here I write the same function with data types. Okay, here the same arguments a and b used with their types. Okay, so when we write the arguments with its data type integer or anything, we enclose this by the parentheses. So the parentheses are must in this type declarations. Okay, other than the output also same. Okay, so why we are using this parameter with the type? It is mainly used for debugging some error message. Suppose any error happen in our program means we can know any type problems occur na, we can find out the error message here.
Here, three type of functions and their syntaxes are given. The first type of functions accept only one input x and gives only one output y. The next function accept two inputs x1 and x2 and give the result output as y. Third type of function accept n number of inputs and gives only one output y. So here all the functions are static. That means every function remains unchanged. There is no dynamic functions. That means we cannot create any functions at runtime. Next, we'll see interface and implementations and their relationship. So, what is interface? It is the set of actions of an object can do. That is, what the description of what an object can do and cannot do. Totally, the interface is the descriptions of all the functions of a class. Next, the difference between interface and implementation. Here we can know the definitions of implementations. First, already I told, interface is the set of actions of object that what an object can do and what it cannot do. It is the description. Implementation means it carried out the instruction in the interface. That is, it operate the instruction that is written in the interface. So finally, in our object oriented programming language, classes are the interfaces and the processing and executing of object is called implementations. So we'll see characteristics of interface, how the interface will be and what is the work of the interface. First, so one class specify the interface to create an object and operate it. So to create an object and operating it, we create a class template, that is interface. Next, we can control the attributes and behavior of an object by sending some function to the object. The function will work on the object and control the attributes and behavior of an object. Here we'll see one explanation of interface and implementations, how we are separating interface from the implementations. Suppose here one person I mentioned, this person want to drive car, so he does not care about the internal working of the car, how the car working, how the engine will start. So he don't worry about anything else. He just, suppose he want to speed up the vehicle means he put an accelerator. Okay, so here the accelerator is the interface between the person and the engines. He does not care about the internal working of the vehicle or car. Okay, and so suppose we take engine means here the entire fuel, air, pressure and electricity come together and to created power is created and the vehicle is moved. So all of these actions are separated from the driver. So that's why here we separate the interface. Here I'm giving an implementation of a function of minimum of 3 numbers. Here we are finding the minimum of 3 numbers. So here the name of the function is min3 and the parameters are, the 3 parameters are x, y, z. We start with this function by the keyword let. First we are checking the x value with y. Suppose if the x value is less than y, then we are again checking x value is, whether the x value is less than z. Suppose it is true means we are written x as the output. Suppose x is greater than z means here we written z is the output. Okay, so suppose in the if conditions x less than y, the if condition x less than y, it is false means we are coming to the else part, that x value is greater than y and the y value is less than x. And here we can check already y value less than x and coming to the if part. Here the y value also less than z, then we can return y is the final output. Suppose here the if statement is false, we can return z is the final output. So we are finding the minimum of three numbers, that is x, y, z. Okay, next we see two type of functions, that is one is pure functions and another one is impure functions. Okay, what is mean by pure functions? So pure functions are the functions which give exact result when the same arguments are passed or used in the functions. Now I am calculating sine 0 is 0. So the next day if I want to calculate sine 0 means the value will not be changed. Okay, always the value of sine 0 is 0. So that's why sine 0 is called as pure functions. Next we will see one functions, that is square functions. What will be the square functions? The square functions multiply one variable with same it. Okay, here the square function uses x as a variable and it returns x into x, that is the square value. So suppose we pass the same value, suppose I am passing 5 to x means it will return 5 into 5 25. It always return if I am same value. Suppose if I am giving 5 as the input, it always return 25 as the output. So here the square function also pure functions.
Now I am going to show that strlen is a pure function. So I take one string variable s and store alagu into it. Now I find out the length of the string using the strlen function. Strlen of s equal to here 5. So 5 characters are in the s variable. So strlen of s equal to 5. Now I come to the program. Here initially we are taking I value equal to 0. Then I compared I value with strlen of s. So the compiler here check the I value is less than strlen of s or not. So it find out strlen of s first time. Suppose the condition is true means anything else happens, do something which that does not affect the string s, and the I value is incremented. Suppose we start the second iteration means the I value became now 1 and it is again compared with strlen of s. Here the compiler don't check the strlen of s again because already it find out the strlen of s. So here s is the fixed length string. So suppose again and again if we are calculating strlen of s, the value will not be changed, it is the fixed one. So compiler directly compare I value with strlen of s. So further it does not compute the strlen of s. So that's why we are saying that strlen is a pure function. If we are calling the strlen of s means it read the internal memory of the string and return the final value. So the value will not be changed again if we are calling the same function. So we conclude that strlen is a pure function.
Let's see what is mean by impure functions. Suppose a function having some variables. That variables causes side effect to that function. Then the function is called impure functions. Suppose we assume a function has x as the variable and here we did not pass any value to the x variable, even though the x causes some side effect to that function. So that function is called impure functions. A function became impure because of its variables. Okay, let's see one example. Here the random function store any one of the random value into a. and we are checking. Suppose the a value is greater than 10. Suppose it is true, means here we are returning the a value. Suppose if it is not true, we return 10 as the return value. What is mean by side effect in the impure functions? Suppose a function has an contact or an interaction with the outside world, then it is called as side effect. Side effect is also not a bad thing. Here we are having one example. So inc is a one function. Inc is a function. It is a integer function and it has integer variable x. So before the function we are declaring y equal to 0. It is the global variable, x is the local variable. So inside the inc function the y value is updated. So here the old y value and x value, old y value means 0 and we don't know what will be the value of x. The x value is added and it is stored into again y. So now the y value is changed. The function return the y value somewhere else. So now the y value has been changed. So that is called side effect. Next, we will see the difference between pure functions and impure functions. The first one, the return value of the pure functions. The return value means the output of the pure function depends on the arguments passed in the functions. So, in the impure functions, the return value does not depends on the arguments passed. Okay, that is, suppose we are passing same set of arguments into the function will return the same exact result. Okay, but in the case of impure functions, if you pass the same set of arguments, the function may not give the same value. Okay, so that's why it's called impure functions. Here two examples are given. Random functions, it will store or it will give any random value as output. And date functions, the output of the date function is always updated day by day. Okay, so pure functions don't have any side effect, but impure function has some side effect. And pure function don't modify the argument of that functions, but impure functions may modify the argument used in the functions. Here I am going to explain Hamiltonians of Groveland problem using functions. In a Groveland forest, there are three colors of Hamiltonians. A is one type of color and B is one type of color and C is one type of color. The condition is that any two color of Hamiltonians met means their colors changes to that type. Okay, so here we are giving A, B, C are three type of color of Hamiltonians. Initially their countings are 4, 4 and 6. In the first iteration, one A Hamiltonian and one B Hamiltonian met. Then their counting has been reduced by 1 and C Hamiltonians type get increased by 2. That is, the A and B Hamiltonians reduced in their counting and their colors change to C type, so C get increased. So in the next iteration also A Hamiltonian and B color Hamiltonian met and their colors change to C. That's why the 3 from A and B reduces to 2 and C get increased to 10. So the process will continue up to the A Hamiltonian and B Hamiltonian's counting became 0. So that is the recursive function used here. So we will see the program, that is the function. Here we are using let keyword and next rec because it is a recursive function. Okay, here the iteration is continuing, so it is called the recursive functions, and the name of the function is monochromatis. And we are having three variables, that is parameters a b c. So how the a b c begins, we'll see. If a is greater than 0, suppose any a type Hemilian is there, then the process will continue. Then the abc values are is like that. A is reduced by 1, the number of a type of Hemilians is reduced by 1, and b type of Hemilians is to reduced by 1, and the c type of Hemilians get increased by 2. If the a value is greater than 0, then it will occur. Suppose it is false, means suppose the a value becomes 0, means in finally the a value also 0, b value is 0, and finally the c value is total number of c value and total number of a and b value. Okay, so finally we are written the c value. Okay, one monochromatic color, that is c, because a and b change their color to c. Finally the c color increased and only one color will be c. Okay, thank you students for watching my teachings.